Good afternoon, everyone. This is Shruti, and on behalf of the Kriti team, I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar. Thank you for joining, and we are hoping more would join soon. So while we wait for them, we decided to play some songs for you. And Bhavna, can we have a few songs? So, in line with the times that we are in right now, what better than a song that describes the present day exploitation of tribal lands and forests in the name of development? So, we'd like to share our screen and begin this song while we wait for others to join.
Thank you, Shruti. This is also our 21st birthday today, and so we thought it's our dedication to the thousands and millions of migrants who are walking home to claim their lands back again and to live better lives. So let's have the music going. Hi, Lata. Welcome.
Hi to all, a very good afternoon and welcome everyone on board.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you for inviting us to do this.
Welcome Maheen, she has also joined us.
Yes, hi Maheen, welcome to the afternoon.
And a very happy birthday to Team Kriti.
Thank you.
बचाने लेकर आए साथ में पलटनी। मंत्री बने कंपनी के डॉलर हमसे जमीन छीनी, उनको बचाने लेकर आए साथ में पलटनी। अफसर बने हैं राजा ठेकेदार बने धनी, गांव हमारी बन गई है उनकी कॉलोनी। हमारी उनकी कॉलोनी, गांव छोड़ नहीं, जंगल छोड़ नहीं, माए माटी छोड़ नहीं, लड़ाई छोड़ नहीं। दिशा पुकारे एकजुट हो छोड़ो ये खामोशी, मछुआरे आओ दलित आओ आओ आदिवासी। दिशा पुकारे एकजुट हो छोड़ो ये खामोशी, मछुआरे आओ दलित आओ आओ आदिवासी। खेत खाली हन से जागो नगाड़ा बजाओ, लड़ाई छोड़ी चारा नहीं सुनो देशवासी। भाई सुनो देशवासी, गाँव छोड़ नहीं, जंगल छोड़ नहीं, माए माटी छोड़ नहीं, लड़ाई छोड़ नहीं।
Thank you, Bhavna, for sharing that. Hi, Maheen. Hi, Lata. Everybody who can see Lata, that's the Kriti team workplace in Delhi, where we have been for 21 years. And in this work from home mode, we are at different places. Lata, you have to put your sound, your mute ko unlock karo. नीचे जाके हाँ say hi. Yeah. Hi,
everyone. Hello.
Lata is with us for 20 years of the 21, and she handles Kriti in Delhi now on her own. So a big round of applause for her today. I think we're waiting for a couple more registered participants. So Bhavna, we have another song that we are going to play, and then we will start off, right?
Yeah, we can wait for another 2-3 more minutes, not more than that.
Yeah.
So we begin.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So Bhavna, you go on to the next one.
So Bhavna is going to be playing another song.
Aisha, you're a rock star. We dedicate this song to you. The song is for you.
बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना, बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना, बावरे से मन की देखो बावरी है बातें, बावरी सी धड़कने हैं, बावरी है सांसें, बावरी सी करवटों से निंदिया दूर भागे, बावरे से नैन चाहे बावरे झरोखों से, बावरे नजारों को तकना, बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना, बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना। बावरे से इस जहां में बावरा एक साथ हो, बावरे से इस जहां में बावरा एक साथ हो, इस सयानी भीड़ में बस हाथों में तेरा हाथ हो, बावरी सी धुन हो कोई बावरा एक राग हो, बावरी सी धुन हो कोई बावरा एक राग हो, बावरे से पैर चाहे बावरे तरानों के, बावरे से बोल पे थिरकना, बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना, बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना। बावरा सा हो अंधेरा बावरी खामोशियां, बावरा सा हो अंधेरा बावरी खामोशियां, थरथराती लौह मध्यम बावरी मदहोशियां, बावरा एक घूंघटा चाहे हौले हौले बिन बताए, बावरा एक घूंघटा चाहे हौले हौले बिन बताए, बावरे से मुखड़े से सरकना, बावरा मन देखने चला के सपना, बावरा मन देखने चला के सपना, बावरा मन देखने चला के सपना, बावरा मन देखने चला के सपना।
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bhavna and Shruti. Can we begin now?
Yes, please, let's do that.
Okay.
Hi, great to see you.
Okay, hi. A very warm virtual welcome to all of you in today's webinar. I, Shweta, on behalf of the Department of Development Communication and Extension, Lady Irwin College, and the Kriti team welcomes you all. Today's webinar is the final of our series, The Paradox of Media Landscapes, and which is an earnest try on behalf of us to understand the way cinema is basically working in present context. So we have with us today Maheen, Mirza and Aanchal Kapur, two trend-setting filmmakers who would be sharing their virtues over this concept. Maheen Mirza is a cinematographer and a filmmaker who's committed to cinema, which is born out of collective practice. And her last documentary, If She Built a Country, examines a very interesting relationship of Adivasi women with the forest. Aanchal Kapur is the founder of Kriti team and is a gender and a social development specialist with 30 years of work experience. We are very happy to have both of you with us. And before I begin, I would just like to say a few lines about the collaboration between the Department of Development, Communication and Extension and Kriti team. They both are progressors for creating spaces for capacity building, communication, and providing the support for social development. And today it's even more special for Kriti as it's its 21st birthday. And we wish Kriti a very happy birthday. And with this, I would like to request Maheen and Aanchal to take over from me and just begin the session. Maheen and Aanchal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the checks are okay. We can hear sounds, everyone.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So thank you, Shweta. Thank you, Dr. Archana. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We are going to get started quickly. We have more people joining in, but that can keep happening. So let me say that, when our intern, who's from Lady Irwin, Shruti, kind of triggered this off, we didn't have any plans for our 21st birthday. We did have plans for the Kriti Film Club's 20th birthday, which is going to be in August. But this is kind of like a curtain raiser, I would say. And when we thought of the thematic documentaries for social change, which is really what defines us, our genesis, there was nobody better to think about than Maheen. Because I have to say, Maheen, Turup has been for me, since you made it, the film I want to screen literally 365 days a year if I could. And we have screened it, as you know, as much as we can. And so really to get started to the real meets real concept, which is, and also to just clarify, I'm not a filmmaker. I keep trying to stay away from the moving image camera because I know if I start doing that, then who's going to screen? I mean, the Kriti Film Club is a screening space, you know. I don't want to become the filmmaker. But to really ask you, Maheen, to reflect on how you have approached making cinema that is close to life. You know, the lines between the fiction, non-fiction, the grays and the reds and the blacks and whites and all these English language words, you know, which don't make any sense sometimes. Where you're making cinema which is close to life, which is of life and is life as well. And I know you very clearly call it a feature and it is not a documentary. But like I said to you the other day, you know, typically we approach it as a documentary, which it is not. So if you can reflect a little bit on that.
Okay, thank you very much for having me, and a very happy birthday to Kriti. And also I hope that you have many more birthdays, because this is a very important space, not just for us as filmmakers, but I think to a lot of people who are audiences. And it is important for a space like this to keep going. And with that, I'll just try to uh, answer what Aanchal has put forth. It's actually both complex and simple. Uh, when we kind of approach cinema, there are these clear divisions between what is fiction and what is non-fiction. Now, because some of us, I'm speaking from a little bit from my experience as a person who has been involved with Ektara Collective mm, uh, as a collective space, which has a lot of people who come from the film background as well as from the non-film background. But I also speak from the experience of having some amount of training in bringing in. So I kind of have a little bit of a bird's eye view on both these things. So when we approach this, the lines between fiction and non-fiction for people like uh, uh, say Ektara Collective are not very well defined, because the whole idea of making the cinema is to make it from life. And so when you are making it from life, you don't know when you transcend from one to another, because in many senses, even when we make non-fiction, there is a way in which we construct the story that uh, that kind of um, pulls the audience towards looking at certain things, looking at the way the plot unfolds, looking at the way uh, the way a chronology is developed, or looking at the way certain ideas are coming through, certain concepts are coming through. And this is done with the various devices that cinema has at its disposal, whether it is shooting, editing, sound, etc. So both of these, I mean, we do not find so much of a difference in these things, and probably I don't know whether we are right or not wrong on this, but there probably should not be, because what we find in typical, say, fiction uh, feature spaces is the absence of a certain very large population of people. Their lives are hardly ever seen on screen, and so fiction becomes like a uh, niche exclusive property or resource of uh, of a very select um, group of people who have the resources to make this kind of cinema. But stories are everywhere, and irrespective of what background you come from, you have stories to tell. and creativity is something that is not exclusive to any person of any particular caste or class. So when we are kept away from these things, there is actually a denial of what stories we can bring to the screen, and so therefore there is also this sense of how do you say, there is a sense of absence of much of reality when we see cinema today in its fiction form. So when we got together at Ektara Collective, um, one of the main say objectives of making this kind of cinema was that we wanted to basically have our lives on screen, to see what stories interest us, what stories could uh, make their way into, because drama is everywhere, and it is not that certain events happen only to a certain group of people, they happen to everybody. And the unique thing is also that because we haven't heard stories from certain communities, those stories become far more interesting and far more unique in their telling, in their form, and in their content. And that is what uh, uh, films like Turup, before this, Iktara Collective has also made Chanda Ke Jute and Jadui Machi. And this is what this kind of brings. And yes, like Aanchal was saying, many people refer, even now my own mother thinks that we mostly make documentary films, even though these are very, like the way these films are mounted, the way these films are made are all kind of fiction, even though the characters are playing very real characters. But I think that it is also because in non-fiction, the audience that gets captured as protagonists or a part of those films, that audience belongs to a certain class, belongs to a certain caste, belongs to a certain sexuality, and so uh, they become the people who are seen so much in documentary, but those are also the people who unfortunately do not have control over how their lives are being unfolded on screen. So that was another thing that we wanted to do when we brought together, when we started to work as Ektara Collective. Now, with the way things are, I think this initiative also that Kriti has taken is to try and help collect funds for uh, uh, people who need rations during this time of lockdown. And I think we have so many stories to tell, um, the way that we now have got to see people who are migrant workers. I mean, even though one is closely associated with the social sector and with people's movements, still the number of migrant workers that come to any city is mind-boggling. I mean, I could not fathom the number that, and so there are so many stories of people walking back home. But which of these stories will find themselves uh, into cinema is something that would be very interesting to see. And when we come to that, we also need to explore um, what are the stories that who would choose those stories. Just, I mean, being a participant as an observer in a lot of these stories, would I be putting forth these stories as and telling them from my own perspective, or would the story kind of choose to be told on screen? And that is something which probably, that is a kind of discernment which we need to also be very aware of when we are making cinema.
Yeah,
uh,
you actually you sort of raised the question I was going to ask you about, especially when you're talking about the journey for Ektara Collective from where you are, because you're really a collective on the ground, and and so how the stories get selected, who chooses the stories, what compels the stories. So I think you have actually said it. And I think typically today when I have to say, through the lockdown and through any disasters, and particularly now when you see all these images of migrant people traveling, and you see all these images and photographs, and you're looking at who really what is the position that the person who is taking these images is taking, what is the position the filmmaker adopts in telling that story, and who is the protagonist. I mean, to me, often in these screenings that we have done and the films that we have seen, I always kind of look at who the protagonist is, you know. How much aren't we all protagonists in many ways? What are the lines between the subjective and the objective? Is everything binary? You know, and is there a hierarchy somewhere as a filmmaker or a researcher that we inherently have, which gives us the control ultimately? So I think it would be good to reflect a little bit, because we have a lot of young people here and a lot of filmmakers here as well, to really reflect on the position the filmmaker takes, the kind of the illusion between the subjective and the objective, and to really look at the question of who are the protagonists. Is there some power happening here, especially if we are looking at cinema for social change?
Yes, that's. I think that is a question we all need to answer, like what Aanchal is asking, because I think.
Maheen, can you try to increase your volume a bit? Maybe I don't know. Is everybody able to hear? Maybe you come closer.
Okay, yeah, sure, I can do that. In case anybody can't hear me, then just kind of say so.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that it's fine. So, what the question that you are asking actually is a question that before making any film or even after making it is something that we as filmmakers grapple with. That what exactly is the kind of position we will take while we are making a film. For me, this is one of the first questions that I need to answer for myself, and I think that is something also that we do as a frequent exercise in the collective. Because while we would always like to feel that there should be as much objectivity as possible when we are making a piece of a cinema, I am not really sure what this objectivity would comprise of. Because if we were to say look at something that a woman is saying, unless we put on, say, the lens of gender, we will never be able to recognize patriarchy. Unless we put on the lens of being queer, we will never be able to understand homophobia. Unless we are able to look at the perspective of say caste, we will not be able to understand what it is to be discriminated on the basis of that. And the same goes for religion and every other marginality. And so to not have any of these perspectives would mean that we are in the blind. And I do not think that we as filmmakers can enjoy that. I think that we should be given the leeway to enjoy that. It is very, very important for us to hold a position, because that also brings within us a self-reflection that automatically reflects on the screen. And when we are taking a position, whatever position, we could also take the position of being on the side of the state. Many people do that. But it's very important to have that position, because then it gives the other people who are in front of you as the audience to engage with you in a critical manner. And when that engagement comes, that is when the longevity of cinema also kind of finds its way. And it is something that we have to be responsible as artists to do. To be able to put forth all of these positions and be also clear about it. So let us not try to hide, like let us not try to say that we want to show caste, but we do not want to, but we want to be objective about it. So we want to also bring in the perspective of those who say are upper caste, because we will not be able to recognize Brahmanism the way it exists if we do that. And um, so I think that that is probably something that, and these there are no easy answers to this, because we all live in certain contradictions, and um, all of us falter in our positions. But to be able to engage with that, to be able to recognize that, that is what is very, very important. And for a piece of work to be authentic and for it to be true, I think that this is something that all of us as filmmakers need to undertake. And so that is my position on subjectivity and objectivity. Um, also, the other thing that you were asking, um,
About the protagonists.
about the protagonist.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of the reestablishment of control over the content, the form, and the process, because there is this dichotomy in a process where somebody has the camera and somebody else is on the other side of the lens. What is the lens showing from here, and what is that eye lens, the real lens, seeing into the camera? That kind of dichotomy.
Right. So all of us are already aware that having a camera is the camera is a tool of power, and to be able to recognize that as a tool of power is very, very important, to be able to use that power towards achieving something which um, something like social change. If you look at social justice, or if you look at social change, it is very important to be able to understand the power of that camera, because it is also very easy to be uh, to give in to the how do you say, to the greed of what that camera can bring. So we need to recognize that also when we look at it as something that that has to be shared. This perspective of it being a tool of power kind of changes. The control that we have over something, the control that we have mm, uh, to be the makers of this story. You're actually being a creator, and I think that uh, a lot of what we call the God complex comes in, and this for me is dangerous, because uh, being a creator is something which comes with a very, very large responsibility, and that should also be seen as something that we have to share, because the moment we look at it um, at the moment we look at it as something that is all establishing of us, we also start to make it into a burden. And when we start to make it into a burden, it becomes about us. But actually, the stories that we want to tell, is it really about us? Because you will also find that as an experiment, if you were to turn the camera on yourself and you want to say record something about yourself, you realize how disempowering it becomes immediately. When you are not behind the camera, but when you are before it, all of us, I mean, I don't know, I have a lot of, I'm very camera shy. And the moment the camera comes on to me, I mean, I kind of freeze over. That happens to a lot of us, no? And that is because it is a process of disempowering someone when you just suddenly place a camera in front of somebody. That is the power that because we are holding the camera, then that is the power. It's like holding a stick, holding a gun. It is that powerful. And so once we understand this, I think the way we approach our own relationship with the camera, our own relationship with being an author of the story or whatever, changes. Or maybe we should try to engage with it in such a way that it changes, and we are able to bring forth or share the control that that camera has with the people who we want to make the protagonists of our story. Um, I don't know if you all have seen If She Built a Country. That the initial
Maheen, if
part of
you say, I can show the trailer of If She Built a Country, when if you
if
like.
we could just show the first part of the film, which is the prologue before the.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I think just that's the first 2 minutes of the film.
Yeah. Okay.
देखावट बात तू ज्यादा बात जमीन में तो कंपनी न बैठेगी वो आके डांटता है हमको तुम जमीन नहीं दोगे तो जमीन मिलेगा ना पैसा मिलेगा बहुत बड़ा कंपनी है तेरे को कहाँ दबा देंगे काला चोर है हम यहाँ बैठे हैं हमारे साथ एकदम सुनाई
Right. Okay, thank you for that. Aanchal,
Yeah.
should I continue? Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So so in this film, the way it kind of begins is these women who are kind of leading us to look at the mines, to look at the way the mines have been dug up, to look at how their lands have been lost, and sometimes people feel that there is in this film we do not have a commentary on what say the company's perspective of this, and how the company is also struggling when it is doing all of this mining activity because of the way people are protesting, so on and so forth. And so now there was this kind of paradox that while we were making the film we were facing, was that we were looking at the mines, we were looking at what has happened to people, we are looking at all of that from the eyes of the women who are the main protagonists of the film. And each time we would try to reach the company from that position, we could only see it, say, as the chimneys of the thermal power plant, or we could see it as JCBs, or we could see and that was the presence of the company. Now, if we wanted to really look at what the company was saying, we would have had to disassociate ourselves from the women, and then go and place ourselves over there, which would have been a very disjointed kind of a thing for this film. There is a difference when we do reporting between journalism, that kind of reporting, and when we make cinema. This is also something that I think that we should think about. This is not a reportage. I mean, it could be. If that is what you're making, then we need to be clear about that. If you are making something that is observational, then we need to be clear about that. What will we be observing? When we are making cinema and when we are taking a clear position, that also we'll have to. And the thing is that we have to be true to it till the end. So the only way in which the company was reflecting in the women's narrative was of barricaded Jansunwais, where they had one little window in which they could go and tell whether they wanted to give their land or not. It was these vast ash dumps and ash ponds. And so we just could not, I mean, nobody from the company even comes and talks to them. They just alienated from their land one day, because they don't even know who exactly the person is. I mean, it's just a very, very far and distant thing, the company. So so that is why it becomes very important that if you want to be true, there will be things which you feel you are losing out, but that is also what your protagonists have lost out. And so this kind of how do you say, reiteration or rebuilding or restructuring of yourself when you become a part of the film, and your protagonists as they make you the person that you become, is also a very, very integral part of making cinema.
Okay, I had to. Okay, I was just thinking this virtual lockdown conversation could go on for hours, typically, like a Kriti Film Club screening would go on, often beyond the duration of the film. So I want to just have you say a little bit more on social change, and then maybe I come in with a little more conversation, and you can ask me some questions as well. So on the whole question of social change, making a difference every step of the way, the film is made, how it's made, what form it takes, all the things that you have kind of talked about, and then where does the film go after it gets canned? Where does it really go? How does it actually go towards social change?
Maybe in these times, maybe even before me, maybe even before all of us, uh, the idea of social change, or to make the place that we are living in this world a better place, this whole responsibility we kind of give to some activists or some people who are working in the development sector, and we say, "Bhai, tum ye dekho, aur hum apna dekh rahe hain." But all of us are part of the society, like we are all citizens, we are all people with a conscience, we are all takers and makers of what the society is. So while it is important for some people to bring to the front things that miss us, we cannot also give up the burden of being people who have to be responsible for social change in whatever we are doing. We could be, working as accountants. We could be working, wherever we are working, whatever things we could be filmmakers, we could be photographers. But to some extent, we are also responsible for the way that the world is today, and we are also responsible for making it better. I think this is something that we need to understand, uh, because we do live and we do interact with other people in this world. So when we say, for me, because I'm closely associated with making cinema, so for me, then social change will have to begin right from the point of where we choose what film to take, what film to make. So, uh, and that is those are the small contributions that we make to social change, and that is what brings the impact. Also, when I change as a person as I go along, because I don't know, I feel that after every film that we make as Iktara, or I am a part of helping somebody else, I become a new person at the end of it. Not maybe entirely new, but I'm different than what I had begun. In the same way, and now because we are speaking of the lockdown, when we are experiencing what it is like for people who do not have as much as we do, who do not have the kind of privileges that we have had, when we look at that, uh, we also start, I mean, we will have to realize that some part of this is also because of us. Some part of it that we too are responsible for putting them in that place, whether it is the governments that we have elected, whether it is the policies that we support, whether it is um, uh, whether it is the times we keep quiet when we see injustice happening.
Absolutely.
That also contributes to this. And so every act that we do, it doesn't have to, we do not have to take to the streets. There are people who will do that. When I guess when like for example, when the Delhi rape happened, all of us took to the streets because we were so affected by that as women. And when
Yeah.
things affect us directly, we will do that. But when they don't affect us directly, also we have the responsibility to look injustice in the eye and to condemn it. And whether we do it through our small acts of wherever we are working, I think that becomes a very, very important contribution towards making this place better. So whether it is the stories that we choose, whether it is the way we make them, uh, how much of sharing happens between when we are making the film with the people who we are making it with. What is the process of making the film? How much of part of, say, decision making, part of deciding how the story will unfold are the people who we are making the film with.
Yeah.
Whether it is, whether it is uh, also where we want to take the film at the end of it. And I'm going to like put this ball back right into Aanchal's court. Like once we are done with making our cinema, we have very few, we have taken a part of people's lives and we have captured it on film.
Yeah.
It is also very, very important that that life is taken further and does not remain in that one, like one small hard disk pen drive, wherever you have put it. Because that is where it is only when we come to know that there are these things that are happening, that there are these fellow human beings of ours who are, say, experiencing something that is same with us or different from us, is that we also grow as people. And
Yeah.
so once we make the film, what are we looking at? Are we looking at film festivals? Are we looking at selling the film to Netflix? Are we looking at taking the film to? But then that is where we, as also people who are making films, face a certain amount of limitation, because you know how to make a film, but you don't know where to take it. So, uh, so the only option then for left for mostly people is the festival circuit, and that is very, very, as we know, is very exclusive, is mostly in cities. And so how do we I mean, how will our film reach, say, other bastis? How will it reach villages? How will it reach an audience that wants to that it really belongs to? And
Right.
I think that challenge is something that Kriti is also uh, been addressing for some time. And Achal, if you would like to share with us what your experiences has been with regard to both the documentary and the independent cinema
Yeah. Yeah.
screening.
Maheen, I think, I mean, it's we didn't prepare this, but it's kind of naturally gone towards how the progression happens. I think it's interesting what you said, because actually the very genesis of Kriti Film Club uh, came from the need for us to use documentaries, or rather visual media, in trainings that we were doing at the grassroots level with women and communities in the early years of Kriti, before I started Kriti. And I used to always feel that there wasn't visual material. How many role plays and how much reading material where people can't read do you show, and you don't have films? And I was young, and you saw so many films getting made, but you knew that they were getting made, and there were some film festivals out there happening, and where were the films? And then as one started to go into people's offices and places, I would see trunks of films lying in bathrooms, and with publications and stuff. And I remember thinking, like, get this out. I mean, and I grew up watching documentaries at Sapro House in Delhi. And if you remember, in the days when we were young, there used to be the black and white reel before every Hindi commercial cinema, which you had to watch. You didn't have the national anthem and you stand up, and you actually saw those black and white reels. And in quotes, those were documentaries were like so boring and whatever, but you saw them, right? So our generation grew up with that, and probably the ones older than us even more. And so I remember hearing this word boring attached to documentaries. And of course, by the time we had started working, etc., the kind of documentaries that were already getting made were very different, right? They were getting made on issues, they were getting made on struggles, they were getting made on people's claiming of rights, and that needed to be shown if we were really trying to create mindset or behavioral change through our social sector work. How could you just speak and speak and speak and make it happen? You had to show, say, a visual of if she built a country in another space for people to feel this was possible, right? And so that really kind of became the genesis that this film needed to go beyond the filmmaker, much beyond the film festival, into a space which was regular, which screened it regularly. And actually the term that stuck in our minds was, what you said, that it's just our responsibility to do this social change. I mean, just us, some of us, activists, development workers, but what about all of us as citizens, And so kind of thinking about creating this cinema to an unconverted audience, an audience that wasn't already converted, which perhaps we were labeled as, some of us were labeled as. And so really, that became the genesis for the Kriti Film Club. And it's going to be actually 20 years this August that we first screened our first documentary as the platform. And what we have realized over the years is that the curation of the documentaries is almost intuitive for us at one level, because of the times we are living all the time, one month to another month to another month, but also has been very conscious. So for instance, showing Turup on Republic Day, which we did, or showing Words on Water on Harsud Day, the day the Narmada Bachao Andolan marks it, or showing Unlimited Girls on Women's Day, or showing recently as part of the lockdown recommendations that Kriti Film Club has been doing, and today's day 73, showing Moti Bagh, which is an Oscar entry, because of, we have this exodus of people walking back to their villages, and why? I mean, Moti Bagh is testament to that. And I want to just share with people a trailer of Moti Bagh, because I thought that I am ultimately a screener, so it's a default that comes to me. So I want everybody to watch Moti Bagh, a trailer.
श्री राम बसे हैं मंदिर में और मेरे राम खेत खलियानों में, मेरे राम खेत खलियानों में बसते हैं।
पहले तो डुटियाल बोलते थे, नेपाली बोलते थे, बहादुर बोलते थे, अब तो बस सिर्फ नाम लेके पुकारते हैं बस।
नेपाली यहाँ नए आए गाँव में, तू मुर्दा घर में रह जाएगा। 5-7 दिन पहले की बात है, कहीं फिर तब अर्थी लगाने के लिए मिले।
बाद में कभी ऐसा नौबत आ सकती है कि भगाने का नौबत भी आ सकता है यहाँ से नेपालियों को, तो उससे बढ़िया पहले क्यों नहीं जाए।
प्रगतिशील किसान विद्यादत्त शर्मा द्वारा पैदावार की जा रही एक मूला का वजन 22 किलो 750 ग्राम है, जिसे राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर रिकॉर्ड बताया जा रहा है।
ऐसा है, शारीरिक श्रम का खास महत्व है कि चाहे उसका उत्पादन कुछ मिलेगा, पहले तो मिलेगा, और नहीं भी मिलेगा तो प्रगाढ़ निद्रा तो मिलेगी। आत्मीय सुख है ये सब। अच्छा जी।
Okay, yeah. So, just to kind of, so this whole curation and to place thought-provoking cinema, the kind of cinema you're making, in front of the audience, in a physical space, and now the digital space becoming almost a physical non-space, where you have discussion, where you trigger thinking, you trigger feeling, and you trigger hopefully some action. I think where one takes the cinema in a documentary screening space, which is not a festival, which is not exclusive, like you said, which is not glamorizing the content and the cinematography, but it is actually really making it real, making people come to terms with it, ask the difficult questions, feel pain, feel anger, feel frustration, and feel even happiness. I mean, that to me is, that hand-holding is critical with the filmmaker. I think we've been really fortunate that we've had some hand-holding with several filmmakers like you and many other senior filmmakers, young filmmakers, student filmmakers, who have actually been sending us their films to show and have been sharing them. And of course, we are reaching out constantly as well. Like I said earlier, I think we could screen 365 days a year, but I wouldn't want to do it only digitally. But if I did have to do it digitally, I think we need much more resources to be able to create conversation. Because I think the conversation is critical. Because again, otherwise, we don't want to be in this power of, oh, we are showing this film. How are you viewing it? How? So, an interesting thing I actually suddenly thought of, we've had a lot of filmmakers send us films and saying, can you see if you will want to screen it? And I'm like, no, we don't need to see it to decide if we'll screen it. This is not a film festival. Let all of us be audience. So there are almost, I think, out of the 500 plus films we would have shown, we would have barely seen 10 or 15 before screening them. We don't preview a film. Of course, we are careful that we don't show something politically not in our line of thinking. Yes, we are careful, but we don't preview. So we've had this space actually have these difficult questions being asked to the filmmaker. It's no longer all good, oh, great film, feeling good, da. It's not that, but it's really difficult, challenging what has gotten made. And actually, several filmmakers have kind of given us the feedback that, that was good that it happened, So yeah, I mean, I think the intimacy of being able to place this cinema among people who ask the difficult questions and who are triggered to feel that they need to do something about it is where we should take documentary films and fiction. I mean, I think one of the things that I've often felt is that having protagonists and here I'm meaning not the film, the makers, but the people in the film. The people part of the screening also is very critical. I think in these years, in these 2 decades, I have found that that has been a question that several filmmakers have had difficulty in answering. It would be one of my first. Who did you show this film to first? When are you showing this film to them? You know, I have had that issue because when I screen the film, the people I'm screening it with will say, Didi, जिन्होंने जो ये फिल्म में हैं, उन्होंने क्या बोला जब फिल्म बना तो? And I don't know. I don't often know, right? I mean, I know if I speak to the filmmaker, but I don't otherwise know, you know? Maheen, if it's okay, if you don't have any other questions, I want to just take the liberty of sharing something with everybody. Just a short clip of something. One second, where did it go? How do I share this? Ouch, okay. Okay, all this is quite new still. One second, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get a sense of how do I show this, but it's not happening. Okay, maybe. One second. Maybe I have too many windows open.
I think some people also have some questions and whatever. So if someone
so I'm going to just
them
take.
together.
I think I'm going
to once we watch what you're. I mean, I was just.
Yeah, we can take some questions, Maheen. Yeah, can we begin from the first question?
I mean, we can
let
watch
me
what
just.
Aanchal is showing, and then maybe we can take the questions if we just have them together someplace so that we can just address them one after the other.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you guys see your screen?
No.
No, you can't. Okay. Shruti, can you help me on this? Why can I not show this to everybody?
You will have to click the bottom and present now wala.
Present now. Yeah, and then
choose a window.
To the window. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Learning all this still. Okay. So just quickly, I just want to flag this off so people kind of take away from this, from what Maheen has said and what I'm talking about, to kind of recall the first documentary, the film that comes to your mind, to think about which one it was, where you watched it, what was it about, do you remember how it made you feel, and do you remember if you decided to take an action after watching the film? Because I think really that's what Maheen is saying also, and that's what we're all saying, that if we want documentaries or film or cinema to actually contribute towards social change, that is important, what you are feeling and what action you are taking. I also the reason I want to reflect a little bit on this is so that a lot of the filmmakers out there and a lot of young people who are probably making films actually reach out to screening spaces and not just festivals, so that they get more out of it than maybe an award. And I'm happy to share this slide, this PPT with the students here. But to really talk about diversity of audience and the filmmakers and the conversation that Maheen talked about in that space, and just to give you some glimpses of how the space changes how the viewer takes back a film, both from the filmmaker's perspective and the viewer's perspective. If you see, all these images have different kinds of numbers and different kinds of spaces. And each of them have different kinds of takeaways, really. So, to kind of um,
You can stop presenting now,
stop
Aanchal.
sharing. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So really to reflect on the fact that how the real will meet the real is a two-way process, Maheen, if you agree. That in terms of the filmmaking that you're doing, and in terms of how and where it's getting screened, and how we are engaging with the audience in taking the film forward, so that the film doesn't remain within the film, but it goes beyond the film. And that, I think, is something that we all need to grapple with constantly, to keep these screening spaces and keep finding and creating new spaces. So screening in communities, screening in institutions, screening in schools, in colleges, in public venues, now digitally, but really having a dialogue around documentaries for social change, or cinema, thought-provoking cinema for change and action. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stop here and then let's take some questions. Shruti, would you like to, or Shweta, would you like to give us the questions?
Yes, why not?
Any to me?
Shall we begin from bottom down?
Yes, any, however you
And a
like.
bottom down, it's much more easier. So we'll take Bhavna Goswami's question. It is for Maheen. And she says, as you said, you should know where you want your film to reach. What are your views on Padman not being a success? Bhavna wants to know from Maheen.
Okay, so these are, I mean, I'm treating these as two separate questions. The first part of your question separately, and the second part of your question separately. For Padman, I had my own critique, but a lot of films that I have a critique for are also hits, so I don't know whether it will work or not. But I think that films are made. I mean, I think a lot of films that are fictionalized and made or whatever, they I mean, I don't know how deep those roots go as far as understanding what I think what we are very good at doing in fiction is entertaining. I mean, entertainment is something that we feel fiction should bring to, and I think that is why it is the independent cinema movement is so vital to our country, because we have so many stories which are not all entertainment in the way that Bollywood has come to define it. Now, why was Batman not a success? I don't know. Uh, I did have a problem with why we had to see. I mean, menstruation is something that we as women have always had, and we found our ways of dealing with it, and an initiative uh, and a market initiative like what Batman does. I don't know why it didn't ring true to many people. But yeah, where do we want our films to reach? I think Aanchal has touched upon it briefly, and but yes, I think that where the film should reach is firstly the place where they have been made and the people that they have been made with. Secondly, they should reach to others who kind of who are kind of in the same, maybe not in the same uh, predicament, but probably would be able to relate to that in a similar fashion. And thirdly, to people who have no idea that these people exist. I think if we reach the film to these three places, a lot of our a lot of the success of the cinema is taken care of. Uh, the first one would probably just come out, and it shouldn't come out more as a, like we have to do this because that is the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do, but it is also that you have spent some amount of time with people to make a film with them. And so the enjoyment of watching what has come out of all of those days of labor, to be watching it together, that makes you brings home to you also a value, a certain value that the film has, no, that does not come in ticket money. It is something that kind of uh, brings to you a kind of, how do you say, validation for what you're doing, or a critique of what you did right or wrong. So that is probably very important. The second space, because I think that when people come to know that there are others who are kind of, in a similar dilemma, or it makes you feel less lonely. It's about how, like, you can be a queer person and you feel so lonely when you actually realize it, because everybody around you doesn't understand it. And then when you realize that there are other queer people in the world, it's such a validation. It feels so good to be, otherwise you thought you were the only one with this problem, with this. And that is why the second is very important. The third is important, I think, because the way our country is, especially today, is that there is a breaking away. We are all being separated as people, as human beings, and we are all being polarized, and we are all being put into separate brackets. And I think that unless we all try to communicate with each other across those bridges, we will not be able to. I think we will all just disintegrate and die. But so it's very, very important to understand what other people are going through, instead of constantly being uh, given information about what is correct or what is right, or what has to be done or what needs to be done.
Thank you, Maheen. The next question is about the complexities of being a cinematographer. Riddhi Tandon is asking, what are the ways a cinematographer should imbibe to disempower while having the tool of power, the camera? As until and unless we give the camera in the people's hands, the true frame would never be able to come up. So, how to make our frames more honest and generous towards the stories of the people that we wish to tell? How to make the frames more honest?
Okay. And this question was asked by
Riddhi Tandon. She's MSc
Riddhi.
previous student. Yeah.
Right. Okay, Riddhi, this is a very interesting question. I haven't found the answer to this yet, but what you are saying is something that all of us are striving for. Uh, and what I realized a few, when I had started to work and mobile phones had just come in. When you see some of the videos that are shot by people who are just using their mobile phones, kahan pe bhi, like they'll shoot something, say a demolition that is going on, or some fire that has happened or something. And when you see those videos, there is a way in which things are framed. There is a way in which, and I think that has led to a large, I mean, one of the into a revolutionizing cinematic language. Into look at, when you are seeing that video, you are realizing that all the rules of aesthetics that we have been taught, that we have been, those are changing, not into something that does not follow aesthetic, but something new is coming in. And I think we should be very aware of that. Now, as far as giving, I think that people are comfortable with the camera. I mean, now it's not, in this day and age, I don't think that people are really, like shy of using a camera or holding a camera. But yes, there are still people who, like, there are many women who still don't know how the smartphone works or how the camera works. And I think that we should try to take all of these tools of empowerment into that zone as well. more than, and I think, and I agree with you that those frames will be complete when people are doing it themselves. But I think that for those of us who find it difficult to, pass on our equipment to lesser humans, I think that what is very, very important, irrespective of everything, is a relationship of trust that needs to be built before we really go in to shoot. And that relationship with the people, so that people will trust that even if you are doing the shooting, it is their voice that is coming through, it is their gaze that is coming through. That is most important, the relationship of trust, the narrative that they trust you, that the narrative that you are shooting is the one that they want to say. I think that is very, very important. And thank you for that question. Yes.
On the same lines, Pritika Sachar is actually trying to ask about your emotional attachment with the people or the protagonists that you work with. She's asking, as a filmmaker, do you become emotionally involved with the people? And along the way, do you find yourself becoming an activist yourself?
Is this question for me?
Yeah, you can definitely answer. Pritika Sachar.
Yes, Pritika. So, I mean, how do you really keep away from being emotionally attached? You tell me. I don't know. I don't know whether it's really possible to do that, to kind of keep ourselves removed from the plight or what or a situation that we are observing, because unless we feel that, it does not really become an experience for us, and unless it doesn't become an experience for us, how can we truly empathize with what we are trying to show? So it does slow down the process, but I think that having a kind of restricted emotional involvement does not really help you to become a better person at your work. It could, what I think over time we start to do is to compartmentalize certain things, to not get completely consumed by situations, because we are also there to do a job. So there is some amount of compartmentalization that happens, but I don't think that we should completely let go of our feelings in any situation, because that is also what makes us feel human. That is also what connects us with the fellow human being with whom we are at that moment in that place. So it's a good question. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would want Aanchal to answer. There are two questions from Preksha Gandhi. She's asking that life comes without censorship, whereas movies comes with censorship both. So how does censorship affect the story, especially when you're trying to send away an emotion? That's one question she has asked. And she has asked another question with respect to some fictional movies like Parched and other documentaries on the same theme. What is the difference in the kind of changes they make in the society? So she's talking about the image of a man being the devta has been prevalent. So if not in our movie anymore now, but in our society it still does. So who do you feel is at fault? So she's talking about two topics. She's talking about censorship and she's talking about what the films are being depicting. Aanchal?
Yeah, got that. So I think Maheen will join me in this, but I think what we're dealing with when we talk about censorship, and the independent film movement has seen that struggle. If you remember, Maheen, Anand Padwardhan's Ram Ke Naam was one of the films that led to all the independent filmmakers coming together and was the beginning of the Vikalp process against the censorship. And at a time when we didn't have the current political climate, but even then. And so really, yes, you're absolutely right that censorship, life doesn't come with censorship. And with the kind of social media and the mobile phone that we have now, even more so, isn't it? But when we are talking about cinema of the kind of the genre that we are talking about here, if that cinema is challenging to change status quo, and it's linked to your Devta question, if it is challenging the very belief system, the structural inequalities and injustice that that are eating away in the system, then that is a straight up front to the powers to be, and they have that handle to actually censor. But we have to say that, I mean, the censorship for film, for independent cinema, getting a censor certificate is a battle that's never ending. There are times when it has changed. You have some films that have come out with the censor certificate, and there are many others who continue to be shown and screened without censor certificates. You have so many examples of colleges under siege when you've had screenings. We've had those experiences all the time. So I think in a world where we are grappling with so much lockdown, you know, to actually negotiate our ways to keep life uncensored, especially where the storytelling goes, is very critical. I mean, look at today's time. Today, everyone, and I think Maheen, you will agree, everyone, even the elite, have suddenly had to respond to what is happening because the very hands that work in their homes are no longer available. And so somewhere I feel this lockdown could be a leveler, but we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen after. When everybody comes back to their homes, whether it will really transform the citizenry out there who is right now giving ration, giving food, giving money, feeling really good about themselves. And great, I mean, no offense meant. But really, is this our time for a certain kind of social transformation? Because millions of workers are no longer going to be in the cities. They are gone home. And like Moti Bagh says, all those lands which are lying barren perhaps would get cultivated now, right? And so real meets real, really speaking. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that's interesting way. There is another one. I think Maheen has already tried to relate that. Shevya is asking that which form of storytelling perspective do you think is more impactful or beneficial for the general public to understand a social issue? A protagonist story or an event storyline? Any of you can answer.
I think that you should. It's really up to the person who's making that to make that call, because they would probably, whatever it is, the situation, what does that deserve a protagonist story? Does that deserve a event storyline? Does it deserve both? And out of every situation, you can have different kinds of stories coming out on different formats in different. So I think that what you're feeling strongly at that particular moment is what you choose to do. That would probably be my short answer to that. Achin?
Yeah. I mean, I think the important thing here is that framing the story in terms of the content to me is critical above everything else. I mean, I think I believe that they tell the story in a way that is meant to make you feel and see, so make you feel what you don't otherwise feel, to make you actually hear what you're otherwise not hearing or not willing to hear, to make you kind of think about the questions that you are otherwise not asking. And the story has to, I mean, I think we see, for instance, currently the OTT platforms, there's a lot of documentary cinema on that, right? So there's always this argument that, oh, that film is there because, it's going to get a wider audience, right? because somewhere you, as an audience, as a viewer, you see it, you feel something, and then you get away from it. While perhaps some of these other films that we are talking about and we are screening are maybe get more real. They really get real. The aesthetics is real life. The aesthetics is not the lights and the framing and all of that. And yet, look at Turup, look at If She Made Her Own Country, look at Words on Water, Sanjay Kak's film, which, by the way, we are showing on Password on 5th of June, Environment Day. Look at Moti Bagh. I mean, all these films are brilliant cinematography, brilliant aesthetics, right? But what is keeping us with those films is the story, is the storytelling. So I think story for me above everything else.
Thank you. Next question is from Dr. Archana Kumar. Archana ma'am wants to ask, what are your views about community media products versus the independent media, community video, and their portrayal of arguments and the images, and also finding space in screening clubs like yours, Kriti? How do they find the space? Different types of media.
Maheen, you want to go first?
I think a lot of community media products and these are something which are more target oriented, and they kind of they have a focus, and they bring to like certain important issues. And so I think that I mean, it's, instead of making it like a versus thing, I think we should also see it and analyze and critique it from that space. And community videos are also important because, like I was saying, that a lot of videos that are coming through are giving us a run for our money as far as aesthetics is concerned, as far as cinematic language is concerned. And as far as space for screening, I think that probably Aanchal will be able to answer that better.
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's the first screening of Kriti Film Club was a slideshow on a environmental struggle that friends of ours were involved in, with at that time slides and music. And since then, of course, we have community media, we have community radio. So we actually, I think, for a space like us, we are actually open to screening and showing all kinds of media. We often have screenings which are part of our programs, which are combination of advertisements, for instance, or community radio, along with images that go along. So we have interviews, podcasts. Currently, there is, I don't know if you people know about it, that there is this Lockdown Janta radio, which is being done by the Media Collective, which is everyday stories coming out from the ground. Shruti, I'm going to ask you to just post that. I'll just post the SoundCloud. So
Yeah.
we today the digital world offers us a possibility to actually share a lot more media, physically and digitally. But I think it's like us, while we have the ability and the interest to do it, we are constantly uh, feeling restricted because we are completely an unfunded group. And we did make that decision initially very consciously. We decided not to be a funded project because we wanted to see if there was a demand for this kind of cinema. And of course, here we are, and there's more and more demand, but we don't have the resources. So we are looking out for resources to actually take this on. And I am repeating myself, we can do this 365 days a year, literally, and actually bring in all the kinds of media, because for us, content, struggles, people's cinema, people's stories is above all. And I think, Maheen, you know what you said about where does the film go? I'm coming back to that. I think screenings, a lot of filmmakers finish a film, and I'm not saying that about you and many others, but a lot of filmmakers finish a film and it's over. It goes to a festival, it gets an award, and it's over. Because they have to move on realistically to another film, which is very critical, important. And that is where a space like us comes in, to have that ability to share it beyond. And we try to do as much as we can, but we do need resources to be able to do that, which have to keep us going, because we can take as many films forward. I mean, in 8 hours every day, we can show at least 10 films. You know, a day. So I think that amplification of from the filmmaker to a screening space beyond a festival, before a festival, is what we are struggling with today. And I'm hoping the young people out here will actually start working on that arena as well. Because if everyone who's here, 115 people who are here, if you were to watch, say, even the 72 lockdown film recommendations that we have been showing with your family every day, there you are making that dent towards films for social change. Because that conversation that you have at home with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 members of your family, or if you're alone, then watch it together and have a discussion. That's the trigger for social change lies.
That's very true, Aanchal. And Bhavna Verma's question is actually an extension of what you're speaking. She's talking about why do we not focus on screening process and space, but much on the film and the filmmaker. Please share your views, Bhavna Verma.
Maheen,
And
would
it is
you
for you.
like to correct?
Probably, I don't know. I guess it's something that Aanchal could probably state better.
Yeah. No, I think, like I said earlier, Bhavna, I already mentioned this. I think the filmmakers do their best because they have that one film and they're that one person. And similarly, you know, there's some screen and there's some amazing screening spaces now. There are, in these 20 years, we have seen a proliferation, mushrooming of several screening spaces. And Vikalp is there, and different cities. We have Pet Pictures in Bangalore, which screens. We have Chalti Tasveere, which did a curated festival. We have People's Film Collective. We have Sanjay Joshi's films. We have Chalchitra Abhiyan by Nakul. We have many people doing home screenings, etc. So I think it's important, but yes, I think we do need to work a little more closely between the filmmakers and the screening spaces to strengthen this dynamic, I think. What do you think, Maheen? I think that's something that perhaps we all need to work on a little more. I think it's also perhaps because of a product has a glamour attached to it, while a discussion doesn't have so much glamour attached to it. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but perhaps. So I think, yeah.
Next question is by Ishika Bansal, and she's asking Aanchal, what do you think should be our main focus point? The story we wish to present, or framing that story aesthetically so that it reaches out to more and more people?
I think we've already answered that question.
Yeah, we have already answered. So I think we have a last question by Riddhi Tandon. She's saying, talking of emotions, documentaries at times, I feel try to propagate the reality, the hard emotions which rarely people want to feel. How to motivate and convince the people to watch documentaries and enlarge their audience. Chapa couldn't entirely catch the audience because of its biographic nature. But at the same time, a story like Article 15 got attention just because of the thrill and investigation in it. So she's trying to understand what is making us to watch a certain kind of a film.
Maheen?
It's Really difficult to say because watching a film, like watching, say, some people like to watch horror, some people like to watch comedy, some people watch, so like that, people like to watch documentary also. And it's not, I mean, I think that what people may not prefer it as a medium because, like you're saying, that it has a content which is which probably requires far more attention than something which is uh, which can be watched half year. But so I think that in for you to enter, but I think for those people who haven't seen documentaries at all, it is very important to at least give an opportunity for people to watch and to encourage them to watch a documentary before writing them off completely, because there is also uh, this thing attached to documentaries, that they're boring, that they're heavy, that they're very like emotive, and they're, so I think that for people to be able to choose whether they want to watch something or not, it's best that they watch something and then decide for themselves. So yes, I think that people should just be encouraged to watch something that is interesting for them. Maybe like someone would prefer to watch something which is closer to mm, like sports. So a sports documentary would be good to suggest, just so that people get to know that these are not like, there are different, just like there are different genres in fiction, there are different genres in documentary as well. So uh, I think that we can merely encourage somebody to watch. Then after that, if they don't want to watch, then that is something that that is their decision. But yeah, and like you can use different formats for films, and both these films that you're talking about use different formats to bring forward uh, what they're trying to say. So, so yeah, you're right. Probably something like Article 15 has an investigative angle to it, so it becomes a certain way. But a lot of people would also have liked her part. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I think we have gone way past our time. Thank you for everybody who's,
Yes, and
I think if there aren't any more questions, I want to just show Turup trailer, because I think that's very useful, and I think that would be a good way to end before you wind up, Shweta.
And just before, can I just add one small
yeah,
thing
sure.
before we go on to that? Is that you can watch Turup on Ektara's YouTube channel or on the Ektara's video
Yeah,
channel.
absolutely.
And it's open for screening, that Jadui Machi and Chanda Ki Beauty, all three films that Ektara Collective had made.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me for the session.
Maheen, stay on, and we will
Yes.
put the link. We already have that plan. We'll put it on the Facebook page, etc., of the Iktara Collective films, because they're all online now. And of course, everybody who hasn't been watching the Kriti Film Club lockdown recommendations, every day they are up, so do watch them. We have some really good films coming up for the next 30 days as well. Okay, so Turup trailer is coming up now. And there goes.
शतरंज की बिसात बिछाई उसने, हम सब मोहरे मार गए। शतरंज की बिसात बिछाई उसने, हम सब मोहरे मार गए, और तकदीर ने ऐसी चाल चली, वो जीत गए हम हार गए।
हाँ तिवारी जी बताइए, कितनी चार्ज में हराइएगा?
Why do you always make me ask for money?
Don't make it an issue. कहाँ ना डाल दूँगा?
यार तुम खाना क्या बना लेती हो, जिंदगी भर उस बात की दुहाई दोगी। और भी काम होते हैं खाना बनाने के अलावा इस दुनिया में।
हाँ, जैसे बर्तन धोना, कपड़े लत्ते, पानी भरना, चुन लो।
यार ऐसे मामलों में लड़की की शादी करवा दें तो कम से कम लड़की तो बच जाएगी।
तिवारी जी, वो लड़की नट गई है, मान नहीं रही है।
अगर उसने तुझे धोखा दे दिया तो, और हरी ने तुझे धोखा दे दिया तो?
दीदी तुम समझ नहीं रही हो, ये लोग चाल होती है और ये हमारी लड़कियों को फंसाते हैं।
मैं फिर वो घोड़ा से मेरी रानी को मार के चट दे देता। रानी पे बड़ी नजर रहती है तुम्हारी।
पार्टी के काम में लगे जोर शोर से। कोशिश है इस बार इलेक्शन हम ही जीते, अगर बिजनेस टीम्स का सपोर्ट हमारे साथ रहा तो।
अरे हम तो आपके साथ ही हैं भाई।
अरे पर तुम उन लोगों को परमिशन दे रहे हो, तुम्हें पता है ना कैसे काम करते हैं।
बिजनेस इंटरेस्ट से देखना पड़ता है, उसमें आइडियोलॉजी कहाँ से बीच में आ गई।
मौसी, वो कमरे का कुछ हो पाया क्या?
आपके लिए मेरा पास भी एक काम है, आप लिखोगे क्या?
हाँ, दीदी आपसे कुछ बात करनी थी अकेले में।
वारंट निकला तुम्हारी मशीन। यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है? मैं तो कहता हूँ तुम लोग मेरे साथ चलो, वहाँ पर जाकर 10-15 लोगों को तोड़ते हैं, सब अकल ठिकाने आ जाएगी।
कभी कभी सोचता हूँ कि मैं ये जगह ही छोड़ दूँ।
Okay, that is it from us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maheen, from the Kriti Film Club for being here. And thank you, the department in NIC for making this possible.
Thank you so much, Maheen, Mirza, and thank you so much, Aanchal. And now I would request Dr. Archana Kumar to give a vote of thanks to both of you for having for giving your precious time to the department. Ma'am.
Maheen and Aanchal, listening to both of you this afternoon has been a humbling experience, at least for me. I have really, really enjoyed the sensitivities and the nuances that you have brought out of the whole process of filmmaking. As a teacher who teaches a lot about community processes, and we talk about the whole issue of othering, you have so beautifully nuanced how all this is such an integral part of the whole process of making films and especially documentaries. I have especially enjoyed my work especially has taken us into the community radio space and community media space. And I could understand several of the arguments that you were giving, and this, this continuum between who is the producer and who is the audience, and how they are interchangeable. Thank you so much. You have raised lots of issues in my mind that I am also enjoying and chewing, and I think would want to take ahead with you. We have discovered Kriti and Aanchal through this webinar series, and we hope to interact more with you in the future. It's been a lovely 2 sessions that you've helped us organize. You've introduced us to Maheen. It was just beautiful listening into her. Thank you so much, and thank you for taking time out. And again, congratulations to you on your Founders Day. And we hope to build this partnership in the future for the mutual benefit of our students and their learnings. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
To the interns of Kriti who are students at Lady Irwin, Shruti, Bhavna, Delisha, and all the Kritians who are here, Lata, Vidya, Subrat, Reena, Pritika, many of you who are here, and I know many of you will see this later. Thank you once again, Maheen, and salam to Ekara Collective and all the stuff, all the support you are giving there as we are doing in Dehradun and Haryana. Joining hands.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Maheen. Thank you, Aanchal. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.